The political and cultural left have spent decades branding themselves as the party of science or the defenders of science while calling the right and conservatives anti-science. Well, today we're going to see what happens when science clashes with their ideology. Welcome to Restoring America. My name is Reilly. It is so great to be with you. If you enjoy this episode or the show in general, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Put the notifications on so that you get to watch all of our new episodes as they come out. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a crazy debate that happened on Jubilee's Surrounded with Jillian Michaels, who is a fitness expert and health advocate. And she was surrounded by 20 body positivity activists, and it was super interesting, actually quite shocking to me when I watched it. I didn't realize that certain things were so controversial, which we're going to see in a moment, but it's important to note that the left has branded themselves as this science is everything. We look to science first on every issue. The most recent example we could think back to is COVID, but for decades, for years and years, they've been doing this, positioning themselves in this way. But yet the list of issues where science is enemy number one for them keeps growing. It keeps growing and growing. We see this in a variety of ways. And today we're going to see this in play when it comes to talking about health. So without further ado, let's get into a portion of this Jubilee debate on Surrounded.
Hi, I'm Jillian Michaels. I'm a fitness expert and a health advocate. And today I am surrounded by 20 body positivity activists. All right, my first surrounded claim is that obesity is not healthy and pretending it is puts lives at risk.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Hi. I'm Edie.
Nice to meet you,
I'm an
Edie.
eating disorder therapist. I'm going to do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive. So I'm going to use fat-bodied as we talk.
Okay.
Do you understand why people find it harmful and triggering?
Overweight and obese is literally just having too much body fat. It has nothing to do with the quality of the person.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Are we going to debate the claim?
Yeah, I just wanted to...
Already wasting precious time debating the sensitive language and terms, which is quite ridiculous. Obviously, it's a scientific term, and as Jillian said, it has nothing to do with the person. It's just, I mean, ultimately, this just isn't the claim, but let's keep watching.
So the claim that you're saying is that it is inherently unhealthy to live in a fat body.
It's inherently unhealthy to have excess body fat, yes.
Okay. Where are you getting that information from?
Oh, okay. There are dozens of MRT trials that show having excess body fat. Dozens is causal, not correlated.
No, that's not true. There's no disease that just fat-bodied people get.
I didn't say that. But obesity lends itself to all-cause mortality across the board.
That is an objective fact. I mean, it's a scientific reality that obesity does open the door to a lot of other serious diseases, whether it be diabetes, cancer, so much more, so on and so forth. They have fact checks that they're putting on, explaining that more in detail here on the Jubilee video. It seems like just a rejection of the science so far, based on feelings, is what I've noticed.
Have you heard of something called adiposopathy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know it means literally sick fat. And you understand how it works?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me how it works.
So it's an additional layer of fat in the stomach area.
No, that's not what it is. It works as follows. When we eat too much food that has energy that we're not utilizing, the body needs to put that energy somewhere, right? So it puts it in fat cells. So it puts it in initially subcutaneous fat cells, a little bit of visceral fat, which is fat around the organs. And at first you have hyperplasia, which means we're recruiting new little fat cells, which isn't necessarily a bad thing up to a point. Now, the issue is that once you can no longer recruit more fat cells, right, you get hypertrophy. So the fat cells start to expand. And this is exceptionally dangerous because what ends up happening is the blood vessels get outpaced. So the fat cells can't get oxygen and they start screaming, literally. And when they do, they release cytokines, inflammatory proteins, right?
I want to pause.
Of course you do want to pause. Okay. Because it's irrefutable. You don't even know what I'm talking about. So,
Jillian, okay, first of all, I don't appreciate the way that you're speaking to me right now. You called me out for just trying to understand the languaging and saying I was talking to like a 3-year-old. I felt like I was talking to you very respectfully. You're talking to me very disrespectfully right now.
Here's the thing.
And I want to...
You're telling me you understand it, but you don't understand it. You fundamentally didn't describe it accurately.
But what I understand is that...
What's lipotoxicity?
I don't want to talk about, I am not, okay, here, I'm going to say this straight out. I am not a medical doctor, okay? So I'm not going to talk to you about medical diagnosis because that's outside my scope and I'm fully willing, hey, I'm fully willing to be wrong. What I am here to talk to you about is the fact that people in fat bodies are irreparably harmed going into the medical system every single day because of the term, the O word.
So that's what you want to litigate?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the claim though.
The idea that fat-bodied people are inherently unhealthy is, I believe, incorrect.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong.
There's a robust amount of data.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, so
Because
let me
you can't
finish
look,
the
you
thought.
can't look at.
Then let me finish the
Let me
thought.
finish my thought first,
Okay.
please. You can't look at a person's body and tell whether or not.
Yeah, I think part of the problem here is that with the body positivity movement and the self-love movement, so looking at both worldly things that the leftist culture promotes very heavily today, it means that people are finding their worth in things like this, in things like body positivity, in things like self-love, which is self-affirmation of everything and trying to be enough for yourself effectively, when in reality only Jesus and God can fill us. Only Jesus is enough for us, and we'll never feel that fulfillment or satisfaction or be that for ourselves. So I think that there's a much deeper issue going on here, and I think that the reason that something like this claim, which to me is fairly obvious, that of course we all know this, it's scientifically proven very heavily that obesity leads to pretty serious diseases and can be a factor in that. So it is not healthy, it's better, but it seems like there's a deep personal offense happening here where she's concerned with the language and taking it super offensively that it would ever be said that it's a health risk to be overweight scientifically. So I think that this emphasis on feelings is the center of the rejection of science, where for the left, and this is really more the cultural left, obviously it's political as well, but for the left as a whole, these issues that relate to science, the science becomes less important if the feelings or narrative override that. And we see the same thing in the transgender movement, where the left no longer recognizes the most basic reality and scientific fact that there are two genders. Now the left says that that is subjective. So all of a sudden science has just become subjective. As long as it makes people feel more comfortable and less offended and better. And you can't change science. It's a subjective thing, or excuse me, an objective thing, not subjective. And this didn't happen by accident. It's been a decades-long shift by the political left in this direction towards rejecting objective truth, whether that be scientific or otherwise.
Hello.
Hi.
I have lived in a fat body for like as long as I can remember. And I've known very many fat people. And I don't think any of us, the people that I know, I can only speak to the people that I know, I don't think any of us are pretending that we're okay with it. What I want to say here is I live with autoimmune disorders, I live with chronic illness, and I'm also neurodivergent.
I do think that kind of makes the point that Jillian's making a little, even if she doesn't realize it.
And this is, the body positivity movement has made it so that I can tolerate this life. I can find ways to thrive, even still. But I'm not pretending that this doesn't bother me. And by bother, I mean that it doesn't hurt to carry my weight. I'm willing to concede with you that carrying around extra weight is harder. It is. But it must be done.
I don't know that I agree with you.
Okay. Tell me more, please.
Well, tell me why you think it must be done.
Because I've worked really hard to not have this.
What does that mean? Like you beat yourself up in the gym or something?
No, I don't. That's not fun.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to understand what you mean.
What I mean is that I grew up with a number of undiagnosed conditions, and even I can think back to like middle school, and I couldn't keep up when the PE teacher would make us like run laps, and I'm like, this is physically aching me, and I didn't understand why. And I didn't understand why because I grew up with a single parent, undocumented single parent. We were bound to the medical system that we had access to.
I understand.
I've done what I needed to do a number of times to try to lose weight.
What did you try? Tell me.
I've worked out at the gym. I've tried to do Pilates. Even yoga.
Okay.
Even yoga hurts me.
Okay, so the exercise causes you pain.
The
due to
exercise
autoimmune
causes
condition. Okay, no problem.
Right.
I'm with you.
Dieting, for example.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think that food makes very much sense to me in my neurodivergent brain.
This is where mechanistic eating actually helps people who are neurodivergent, and the research supports that because it doesn't have to make sense to you.
Okay.
In other words, it's like you eat on these schedules and you eat these foods and you eat this much, hence the concept, right, of
Hard
mechanistic.
pass. I don't like that.
I understand that you don't like it, but you'll have to decide which you don't like more. Carrying the weight or the mechanistic eating, because it actually could be helpful. There are other ways forward, but you told me you tried them.
Okay, I think that there's a lot there. The first thing that stands out to me, and this is something that happens a lot in general, is the fact that they had mostly a conversation here about her lived experience, which is fine. I think it's great that people have conversations like that, and it's cool that that could happen in this setting. But when you have a claim that's as strong as Jillian's and is based on science and is supposed to be more of a data debate, it's interesting to see the debate go in a direction where it's not data that's brought up, it's not the science, it's more of a personal lived experience, personal feelings about weight and whatnot, and that sort of thing. Personal battle with that. The personal experience is being used as a key piece of evidence against hard data, and you can't do that. The two don't go together. We have to be able to look at objective data together. We have to be able to look at those things together, look at the facts, and then come to a conclusion about what is true scientifically and health-wise. Lived experience in that scenario quite literally doesn't matter to the claim. It's important, of course, but it can't be the primary decider of truth, and I think we see that a lot in our society today. Personal feelings and personal lived experience and anecdotal evidence and stories are used far too often to come to strong conclusions about what is true, what is fact, and it can't be that way. And I think that it's fascinating to see as well how the science changes and the importance placed on science and scientific fact changes when it doesn't fit the narrative. That's what these body positivity activists are really showing us here, that when the science doesn't fit into the narrative or the feelings, then the science is adjusted, rejected, or changed to fit that narrative. And we see that here where all of the data that Jillian's brought up so far has been called essentially irrelevant and rejected by these activists she's debated, when there really was no place for that. There hasn't been any debunking of that information, just people kind of coming at it with personal experiences. So I think that's an important thing to note here, and a much broader pattern that we see in our culture and country in general, whether we think about the transgender movement, where the same is true, where science goes away the second it becomes inconvenient to what a person feels inside. And that's why we as Christian conservatives reject that, because we feel that the most loving thing to do, and not just feel, we know the most loving thing is to affirm truth, because truth ultimately doesn't change no matter how much someone wants it to, whether in this situation with being healthy and just being as healthy as you can be as a person, which obviously will make you feel better in life. It feels better to feel healthy and to be healthy, or with the transgender movement where God didn't make a mistake. God put you in a body, the body that you're in, for a reason, and it's loving to affirm that and encourage that, not the alternative. So, overall patterns. And the real irony is here, the side that is screaming constantly, trust the science, is the one that treats it like a suggestion box, the one that only refers to it when convenient. Really interesting.
I'm sure you have people online who are telling you that the body positivity movement, or I prefer body liberation, body justice, body acceptance, actually increases their health, then I don't understand your debate. Like, what are you debating if the fat people are telling you it makes their life better?
I'm debating their physical health, and I'm debating the people who claim that you can be physically healthy at any size.
Okay.
She's making a health claim. She's never said anything about how people should feel about their health or their body. People should not be self-loathing. No one thinks that at all. That's not what this conversation is supposed to be about. And I think that what we're seeing a lot is this feelings-oriented position, which is, really wanting to protect mental health, essentially, which I think is very important. I think that the mental health of all of this is important, of course, and I point to God as the cure for that, ultimately. It's a good thing to pursue health. It's a good thing to just take the next right step in health, no matter who you are, what stage of your health journey you're on, what you struggle with. For example, there's plenty of things I can do in my life to be healthy. I could eat a lot better, for example. I could prioritize exercising more. That goes for literally all of us, because our bodies are temples that we are charged to protect by the Lord. So for all of us, it should be an encouragement and a good thing to recognize that we can all be better in some ways, in a healthy way, of course. This whole movement seeks to affirm no matter what, self-love, body positivity. You're perfect how you are. You should never change. And anyone who tells you that you're unhealthy or that you should try to be healthier is wrong and mean and bigoted. And I think the message should be that it's okay that there are objective truths about health. We should all pursue being healthier, no matter who we are or where we are in that journey or what that looks like. It'll look different for everyone. It could mean adding a walk to your day. It could mean just eating a little bit healthier and being careful about the different products we buy at the store. So I think the key is it should be okay and good to pursue health, and it shouldn't really have even been a debate to begin with, would be my argument. Thank you so much for joining us on Restoring America. Be sure to subscribe, like, and leave us 5 stars to help support the show and so that you can keep up to date on each episode. You can find us on all social media platforms at the handles listed on the screen. This show is powered by the amazing Restoration of America. Be sure to go to restorationofamerica.com for much more, and I will see you next time.